Welcome back to AM Northwest. Our first guest is a Portland jazz icon, having worked with some big names over the years, Billie Holiday to Joan Baez, Benny Goodman to John Coltrane. He shares those stories and so much more in his new book, Bass Notes, Jazz and American Culture, A Personal View. We welcome Grammy Award-winning bassist Chuck Israels. Good to have you with us.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
What a career you've had. I mean, it's incredible, the people that you've met. When you think of the people that you've worked with, what stands out? Who stands out to you?
Well, Bill Evans.
Yes.
That was
Tell me about Bill Evans.
Well, my upbringing oriented me towards hearing music a particular way. And when I heard Bill play, he kind of embodied all the things that I abstractly imagined. You talk about this as if there was really a picture in my mind. There wasn't a picture in my mind. And then I heard Bill, and suddenly the picture was there. So I got very drawn in and committed to his way of making music, and I got very attached to that.
Tell me about jazz in our culture today. What is your feeling on and how people? I mean, I have friends who they love jazz, but then I know that there's a new generation that doesn't really know jazz.
I don't think people understand it in the way that they understood it when I was growing up. And
is there a jazz culture here in Portland, or have we lost that?
Well, we have a jazz radio station that says it says all the time, "Jazz without borders." That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Countries without borders?
Yeah, gotcha.
Borders are useful. You want the borders to be penetrable. You want people to be able to cross them.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
But to have no borders doesn't make sense.
I see.
Most of what is played on that jazz radio program is music that I find I can't listen to.
Oh, interesting. Okay, let's go back to some of the people you've loved working with. So you mentioned Bill Evans.
Sure.
Tell me more. Who else have you loved to?
Well, I loved working with Stan Getz. He was a pain in the neck as a person, but an incredible musician. And most of my encounters with great jazz musicians have been joyful in a lot of ways.
Okay.
I loved working with Barry Harris, who was a wonderful pianist and great teacher of the music.
Okay, Herbie Hancock.
I worked with Herbie when we were both pretty young, and he was a lovely guy and very gifted musician, and I had a good time with him.
And in college, you also worked a little bit with Billie Holiday. That was a pretty early on in your career.
I don't remember it very well.
Yeah.
People ask me about it often, and what was it like to play with Billie? Well, I was so much paying attention to doing my job.
Right.
I didn't have all that much range in my mind to be paying attention to how great she was.
Yeah. Nina Simone, speaking of great women.
My encounter with her was very brief. I worked with her at some rehearsals. I don't remember performances, but I was...
Paul Simon?
Well, Paul became a friend. Paul was my student.
Oh.
He came to me for help when he was having trouble writing songs.
Oh.
When he ran into kind of roadblocks.
Right.
And we had become friends. He rented a home in Stockbridge, Massachusetts one summer that was across the street from where my parents had a place that they ran a music and arts camp there. And at one point, in order to sort of get away from my parents, I went over and rang his doorbell and said, "Hello, I know some friends," and we became friends. And then later on, he studied with me for a while then tried to help me make money in the pop music world working with him, and I enjoyed his company. I enjoyed the people that were working with him, and I couldn't figure out how pop music worked.
Yeah. You worked with him Still Crazy after all these years.
That's right.
Right?
Yes.
And that did really well. I mean, it was a gold record.
And he offered me points, and I said, no. And maybe that was not very smart.
Gotcha. What about your Grammy, winning the Grammy? Tell me
that
about
was a
that.
project that was with an opera singer, Joyce DiDonato, a well-known and very wonderful diva, a really good singer, who was involved in a project that was sort of jazz-ish.
Yeah.
And I helped her with that, and it was.
So see, you'll step close to that border, jazz-ish. You'll
Yeah.
step close to that. Yeah.
I mean, she's very good at what she's very good at, and it had certain satisfactions, but I wasn't really thrilled. I wish I had gotten a Grammy for doing something I really loved doing.
What is it that you love about jazz? How is it different for you than, say, pop?
Well, it has a lot more musical development, and it has an intellectual component that I like. It has a rhythmic vocabulary that is particularly American and far more varied than the rhythmic vocabulary of pop music.
Oh, sure, sure.
Pop music is all on the beat.
Mm-hmm.
Jazz is syncopated, the way our conversation is.
Right.
It has a rhythmic flow that is like American speech. And we hear that every day, and we become used to it, and we like the cadence of it, and the makes me feel at home.
You must have loved teaching.
Most of the time I did, yes. Yeah.
Yes. But to be able to impart your knowledge to students who really want to learn about jazz.
For the ones who really want to
Yeah.
learn, and then it's a joy.
Yeah.
There were aspects of teaching in universities that were very welcoming, and other aspects that were where the business of education interfered with education.
Yeah, with education and with the love of music, I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's also sort of a political atmosphere among students that's very like, what was that there was a TV series with Sandra Oh about life in college and what it was like to be a college
Oh, I
professor.
saw that. Now
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it. But I saw that.
It was very good, and there was a lot of irritations in that I encountered too.
There was a lot of politics in college
and
universities.
there were
Absolutely, I remember that. The chair, was that the name
That's
of it?
right.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I had someone in my ear tell me that.
Yeah.
You have a book event, and it's tonight at Powell's. Are you excited about that? You'll get to see
Well,
everyone?
I hope I meet new people
Yeah.
and have
Okay.
my friends will come for sure.
Good. The book again is called Bass Notes: Jazz and American Culture: A Personal View, and that's at Powell's Books tonight at 7. We're going to put all that information for you on our website at KHU.com. Chuck, thank you so much.
Well, thanks for inviting me. I'm glad to
bet.
have been here. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. We'll be right back with more AM Northwest. Don't go away.